Let's jump straight into our top story now. The Gauteng Department of Health says 34 cases of COVID-19 can be traced back to a handful of pupils at St. John's College in Johannesburg. This comes after 5 pupils in grades 11 and 12 and 1 pupil in grade 6 tested positive for COVID-19 last week. The Provincial Health Department says the pupils, 2 teachers who have tested positive and 34 potential close cases are now being quarantined and monitored. Contact tracing commenced immediately after the department was made aware of this cluster outbreak. Health spokesperson Krugersdorp says they're dealing with the matter by assisting with contact tracing and screening as well as testing, which was taking place at the school itself. There were earlier reports that the pupils who tested positive for COVID-19 had actually participated in a rugby festival at that institution. However, the school itself has refuted those claims. The health department has advised the school to cancel all activity until further notice. So on the other side of town, another Gauteng school has been forced to shut its doors. 11 learners at Krugersdorp High School have tested positive for the coronavirus. According to that school, 4 cases were recorded just last week in the girls' hostel. However, following more testing of these pupils, their teachers and support staff, 7 more cases were detected this week. Shall we get you an update on how things are faring now? Bring in Ivan Bailey. He's the principal of Krugersdorp High School and joins us now via our video link. Mr. Bailey, great to chat to you. Thanks very much for making time for us this morning. Let me begin by just hearing from you what you understand to have happened.
Yes, thank you. We had an event. There was an event as well that we were tracing, but I think that's in Bromfontein. But the parents got sick initially last week, so when that was the beginning of term on Sunday evening. So the parent was, I believe, was ill, and they dropped the kids off. But the parent only tested on the Monday. And then the parent tested positive. The daughter tested positive the following day, and then during the week by Thursday, we had 4 cases leading up to Thursday, and then obviously we communicate immediately with the Department of Education and the Department of Health. So we've got very close contacts with the West Rand Department of Health. And they immediately came in, and I was talking to one of the directors, Mrs. Langa, and she was very, very good and proactive. And they came in on Friday to test the remainder of the girls. Obviously, with 4 cases, a lot of the parents took their kids home and were sent home. And then when the Department of Health came in on Friday at 9 o'clock, they were promptly here at 9, and they tested approximately 35 girls, the remainder of the girls. We've got 50 girls in total, but by Friday, I would say about 12 to 15 girls were already quarantining at home. And then out of that, it takes quite a while if you do the Department of Health test. So we only got the results by Tuesday evening. So the girls, we actually quarantined those remaining girls after the testing in the hostel for the weekend, so that they didn't go home. And so then obviously the 5 teachers in the residence also had to stay with the girls in the residence in quarantining. Meals were brought, were separated. We staggered the meal times in the residence. We staggered the eating times and the bathroom times. Mm. And then the girls basically did their homework in their rooms. We're fortunate that the girls can quarantine 1 to a room, but we didn't have. We avoided the public places like the dining room, etc. So they did their homework in there for the weekend, and obviously they were quarantining on Monday, and then on Tuesday evening late, about 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we were getting all the messages, speaking directly to the call center to get the messages.
Right.
And then with the
yes. Sorry if I can come in there. So as far as you know, of all the tests that have been conducted, how many have come back positive and how many are still outstanding?
Right now, all the girls were tested and all the results came back by Wednesday morning.
Right.
So the 11 cases stand, the 4 from last week, during the week, and then the 7 that came out after the testing on Friday last week.
The obvious question is, how is this affecting teaching and learning in the interim, especially because we know that part of the recommendation from the health department is, at least for St. John's, it's for them to look at suspending all their activities.
Yes, so when the first cases came to light last week, we suspended all sporting activities. We had a netball trials for Gauteng girls, and we had our first rugby match was scheduled. So we actually cancelled that on Friday lunchtime, so which was also challenging to the staff. But to answer your question on how it affects the staff, the teaching and learning, we are fortunate as a former Model C school, we can go onto Microsoft Teams. You know, the teachers will most probably be teaching today because this decision was only made late afternoon yesterday. So we go onto Microsoft Teams with the learners. It most probably won't be fully live lessons per every single lesson because it was such late notice. The teachers have to do some preparation. So, but we've also followed up with WhatsApp groups, and we can post things on Microsoft Teams and just give learners work for the next 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right. And then we will pick it up for Monday.
Yeah, I mean, let me phrase it this way, what could prevent the reopening of school on Monday? I understand that obviously you'll also be using this time to try to sanitize places Correct. Like the hostel itself, which from your explanation sounds like where the epicenter of the outbreak is.
Yeah, so that's already been sanitized last week, but we will re-sanitize because of the new cases over the weekend.
Yeah.
We also, you need to know that the Department of Health is coming back today at 9 o'clock, and that's why I'm on duty here in my office, to track and trace the ones that the 7 learners that tested now, well, they're close contacts. So the Department of Health and with the teachers and the grade tutor heads, we trace the learners. Now, which learner was at break interacting with another learner that was positive without a mask? You know, there might be, you know, a boyfriend or a girlfriend that were not socially distanced. These are teenagers, so it's extremely difficult to control. But the school will, and so let's wait until the next couple of days, because unfortunately the private sector, Lancet and Empath, their tests take 24 hours, sometimes less. But with the DOH, it takes a bit longer. So what could close down the school further from Monday, it's going to be open on Monday, will be further cases.
Sure. Ivan Bailey, thanks very much indeed for letting us in on what you know at this hour. Mr. Bailey is the principal at Krugersdorp High School. They've registered 11 cases of COVID-19. It appears that it all began with one parent of the pupils who was ill, continued to drop the pupil off at school, then tested positive for COVID-19, and by then, of course, it appears the virus had already spread. You'll know that in the backdrop, of course, there's a real debate about whether or not there should be a further reopening of schools, and by that I mean currently there's an arrangement of a rotational basis, whereas pupils aren't necessarily going to school Monday to Friday, and perhaps such a development will place a pause on some of those who are asking for a further reopening of the sector itself. We'll see how that all unfolds. In the backdrop, St. John's also recording 6 cases of COVID-19, at least among pupils, and I think 2 teachers also there testing positive. So we'll see how that all certainly unfolds in the hours to come.